What's up, everyone? It's Jonathan here. I want to start doing a- just doing NASCAR stuff on this channel, and just want to give my thoughts about the 500. Kyle Reddick, getting it done. See champagne flying. Great for that team, and the race itself, besides the field mileage, was decent. It was good racing throughout most of the race. Even when they went full throttle, they were actually capable of actually going 3 wide, which is kind of surprising. Um, Especially at the end there, like people jumped to the outside and everybody was full throttle. I mean, no one had to save fuel. I mean, no one. So, uh, third lane worked. I think the track is starting to finally age enough to where grip levels matter. Um, Momentum matters because of you need that extra grip. So just I don't know, it worked. Of course, it is Daytona, it's a more narrow track compared to Talladega, but was surprised about that. I mean, Joey Logano was like 14th on that last restart, and he was up to third by the time. I mean, I was telling people to get up there, block him, block him. I don't know why they were just letting it happen, but uh, either way, they finally got enough. They got 3 lanes working, and then unfortunately, they started wrecking. Um, I don't know what to do to stop that. It used to be where a driver says, "Hey, I want to win, but not to expense of wrecking half the field to do it." But now it means nothing. And I thought maybe with this chase format now, some of that would stop. Now I understand this is Daytona 500. You want to win it 100%, but would I want to have an asterisk behind that a little bit and saying, "Hey, I wrecked someone to win the Daytona 500"? Yeah, I'd rather try and win it as clean as possible. And look, if the guy is swerving back and forth and you're holding your lane, he wrecks himself doing that, fine. But a lot of these wrecks at the end were caused because, or at least the very first one to come with the white flag there. Um, I mean, yes, that was technically. You could have said maybe the Jones pushed him around. Maybe it wasn't square. I mean, he definitely wasn't square, but definitely wasn't really a hole there either. And he just kind of pushed him around, Kosovar, and they crash. Jones crash. Kosovar's teammate McDowell crashes. And then, of course, the camera didn't catch it after the fact, but multiple cars got involved in it at the end. And then coming to the start finish line, everyone is trying to just push ahead. Zane Smith pushing Chase, trying to get him ahead. Then Zane, in theory, he did the right thing, just not with the right kind of vehicles out there because he was the lonely Ford that was up there besides Kozlowski and Joe Logano. I think even Busher was up there, but they were too far back, like to do any help. The next people in line were 2 Toyotas with Reddick and Herbst. So if he had 2 Fords, maybe they would say, "Hey, get this win for a Ford." Which is sad to hear that they the lines to a manufacturer so tight, which kind of makes you question and worry what's going on behind the scenes. Is the manufacturers threatening these people that they'll pull funding if they don't work? I mean, it just seems so odd that even if you're not even teammates to that driver, okay, that you'd work with the Ford, and that's kind of what drives me nuts about it. But I mean, when it came down to Reddick and Herbst, they're both teammates, so I can understand that. And right, Herbst pushes Reddick past the 38 because 38 tries to back off. Reddick just blows his doors off, and then chases a sitting duck because he's by himself, and swings directly inside. Now, Ryan Herbst, he says, "Okay, I've done my job to get him up there. Now it's my turn to try to go win." He swings to the outside, and unfortunately, Brad just had momentum on the outside. He comes up and gets pushed into the wall and causes a huge crash. And Chase just gets nicked by a little bit, and he would have had second, but he got clipped and big crash happened. Stenhouse shoots through a gap. He gets hit, but he's still able to cross the line second. So it just ended up being just a wreck fest right at the end, which you almost kind of expected now, which is sad because we talk about the Cup Series being the peak of the best, and yet they look like they're driving in the Truck Series sometimes. And I'm hoping once 4 or 5 races starts to hit and they realize that if you're like 20th in points and you're like, crap, I'm screwed here if I don't get consistent here. Stop knocking off trying to go from 20th to 5th with a car that's only good for 15th. I have to stop that. I have to just get the points I can get and just move on to the next one. Stop trying to reach for the stars when I have nothing to show for the car, especially for that week. So I understand this was Daytona 500. Every year the points is always scrambled for the first race. Once you go like next week to Atlanta, or in this case now, Echo Park Freeway. Even though it's a Super Series race, it's different because not a prestige race per se. So everyone kind of locks in, does their thing. A little different drafting style because the track is wearing way more than I thought it would. Handling will come in more there than it did at Daytona, so you'll see a difference. But definitely, this race was it was fun. I just kind of wish we can clean it up just a little bit. I'm not trying to. I know there's no such thing as perfection when it comes to motorsports racing, but they can just kind of clean it up a little bit. Realize that, yeah, I want to win the Daytona 500, but if the big picture is to win a championship, then maybe, just maybe, I should try to just take a chill pill and take a second versus wrecking and finishing, 15th and hoping I can get out of a hole and not have bad luck in the next like 3 or 4 races. But congrats to Ty Reddick in 2311, and hopefully we'll see better racing at Atlanta with, and I'll say this, and if the handling does come to play, it's supposed to be from the forecast already. I know it's still a week out, but it's supposed to be very cool, like especially like 59 degrees there. So there's a lot of grip in that track for 59 degrees. The race will most likely get close to nighttime, depending on how many cautions and how long the stages kind of get dragged out. Depends on all of that will determine if it gets into nighttime. If it does, then it's going to be cooler and you just got massive grip. So I hate to say it, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I can't wait for the summertime race when it's hot and slick because it provides better racing. But anyways, that'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you for more NASCAR content here.